Program Chair, Shri Rajesh Agrawal ji, Principal Secretary, IT, Government of Maharashtra. A big round of applause for our speakers. I know it's the last session of the day and it might be tiring for you. I hope we have Mr. V. Giriraj, Principal Secretary with us now, Principal Secretary of Water Conservation and EGS, Government of Maharashtra. Sir, you are most welcome on the stage for this session. Now I also invite Dr. Dinesh Tyagi, Chief Executive Officer, CSC E-Governance Services India Limited. So you are invited on stage. Shri Satpal Gulati, Additional Director, Systems, Department of Income Tax, Government of India. Sir, we invite you on the stage. Shri Atul Gotsarve, Regional Passport Officer, Pune. Sir, we invite you on the stage, sir. A big round of applause for our speakers, please. I invite Ma'am Geetanjali Mishra, GM Government Businesses, State Bank of India, to join this discussion and represent the State Bank of India. And then we have two more speakers from Vodafone. We have Mr. Satish Mittal, Senior VP, Vodafone Business Services Technology, Vodafone. Sir, we request you to join us for this panel discussion. And we also invite Mr. Avinash Mathur, AVP Marketing, Vodafone Business Services, to join us on the stage for this discussion. I request all the speakers to be short in their speech. And then I invite Dr. Gupta to introduce you to this session.
Before we start the session, just a few announcements which are very important. I am aware that you all had a long day. So to take out the blues away, we have organized a cultural program just after this session, after a break of half an hour. So we will have a cultural program, we will have drinks and dinner. I will like that to invite all the family members of all the delegates who are here. So so all the families can also join in the evening, so that it's a more enjoyable program for all of us. And so that was the logistical announcement. And before we start this session, just a few pointers on some of the points we are looking at in this session. We have the major issue of connectivity, which is like hampering the growth of e-governance to going in the rural areas. So we thought about taking advantage of the presence of our partners in this event, Vodafone, that they can share like some of their experiences on how role of telecom sector in e-governance is important from India and outside India. And there are several leaders from the government on the stage right now here. So their expectations from the telecom sector can also be discussed. And how can the telecom sector, from its experience in the various other industries, in the supply chain or logistics or airline or many other industries, how it can leverage that experience in the government sector. So we have an eminent panel here, and I will like that some of these ideas are discussed besides other challenges and opportunities in the emerging e-governance scenario. So we are handing over the session to the able hands of Rajesh Agrawal ji, who I think is the best place to handle a very complex session like this. Sir, challenges to you now.
With so many senior officials present on the dais, obviously it's difficult to stick to timelines, but thankfully nobody has a PPT. So hopefully we'll be able to finish definitely by 7:15. And you can SMS your families that at 7:45 the musical presentation will start here, and then followed by dinner. So first we have Dr. Dinesh Tyagi here. So after working in IS for a number of years. He left in between to very passionately run an organization, part industry, part government, and mostly social objectives, an organization called CSC SPV. And he probably runs one of the biggest retail chains in the world. Though there is much to be still done to leverage that perfectly. So he runs about 1 lakh CSCs across the country. And he's now trying to leverage that network not only for G2C more effectively, but also for many B2C and very innovative services. Dinesh ji.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Rajesh. As usual, he's been so kind in speaking and talking about each one of us. See, what I'll do is I can go on CSC because that's our bread and butter. So, but I can hours and hours talk about CSC, what is CSC and how it work. But since this platform is a little different, rather than talking about only CSC, let me talk about something on e-governance. There are some senior officers here, some colleagues from the service, and some industries who are trying and getting into government space and trying creating some models for them. See, one of the things which I like, Rajesh, is that he talks is disruptive. I always talk about destructive. See, the government needs destructive innovation, not disruptive innovations, and that is that's how the things will improve. Can we look at things differently from a citizen perspective? We normally look things from the government perspective. So far, your discussions across various speakers has been focusing on how do we improve the government performance within the government. But what does the citizen need? How does his life become simpler as compared to? I like Mr. Modi. In fact, we have been talking this for a long time. Mr. Modi's recent order in the central government saying there will be no attested copy. Otherwise, we used to call it attestation syndrome. Why do they want attested copies and then do want a class 1 officer to attest? Why not class 2, class 3? They're also government servants. Somebody built the social hierarchy into organizational hierarchy in government. Government officers, they're class apart, they're very good, but the organizational structure is very defective. The structure, the hierarchical structure built in social hierarchy into organizational hierarchy is something has to be done to close this and forget about it. Otherwise, it will continue. And as he was saying that you will not like to go to second time to a government office. It's never a pleasant experience. First, the PN. In fact, I attend the PN, the guy first you meet, then you meet the PA, and then is hell. So even if an appointment of the guy is very difficult to really comfortably come back and saying that I had a great day today because I met this gentleman. The gentleman was good, but the process of meeting the gentleman is horrible. Reception in government. See, why do you need reception in government? In airport, you can get a ticket on your mobile, show your identity card and go to the airport. But you can't do the same thing in government. And I'm sure the security in the airport is more important or as equally important as that of a government office. Why can't we remove all the reception offices in government and create this? I can fix an appointment through an online, get a printout of the appointment slip, go along with either a mobile or an office copy, show my identity and just move into the guy. And remove the PN and the PA. I think they are the one who rules half of this. Bureaucracy is largely criticized because of lower level, not because these guys are class apart, they're passionate, they want to do something, but the structure does not allow them to go and about. The other part of the story, I think somebody said many of the IAS officers has tried and done a lot of work. What they do is, in addition to the government office, they set up a computer office and saying this is the facilitation center. Does not solve the problem. Does not, even if it's run by a private operator, the private operator becomes a Sarkari Patwari. So the whole idea of innovation in government is not to make a private guy a Sarkari Patwari. In fact, that's what we face. Our common service centers, which we have 1,40,000, and out of the VLE, we always tell them, you are not going to be a private sector Patwari because you're going to be worse than the Sarkari Patwari. So therefore, the idea is not to create systems and process where the private sector does all that. See, the way to do it and the way to look at it, which we have been talking, I spoke to something in Bihar at that time when one of the chief secretary and talked to him. If you really want to insulate people, then remove the front end and the back end completely, both physically as well as electronically. You can solve a large number of problems and really revolutionize in the sense that people, the citizen will get benefit significantly. For example, the front office can be in Connaught Place and the back office can be in Gurgaon or in Noida. It makes great sense. You will save on cost and you will, the people who do back end should not even know who is the front end. And I'm not saying theoretically, it has been actually done in a bank. Axis Bank was started with the UTA Bank, and the first bank who did it. It's the guy who received your application for loan and the guy who sanctioned loan doesn't know each other at all. It's the process oriented, and government is process oriented. It can't be individuals. You can't decide your own individual angularities in trying to take a discussion. It's all process defined, and therefore has to be looked in that perspective. So I think segregation of front end and back end, if we can segregate DM's office physically, electronically, it make, or BDO's office physically, electronically, I think will revolutionize whole thing and make huge credibility for citizens to look into government offices. Of course, there are a lot to be done, but I think this simple part is possible. Bihar, at some point in time in the cabinet, decided to do this, but I think people who were involved, they got shifted, and again, it got into the square one stage. The other part is simplifying process. How do we simplify process? See, I give the examples of registration form. See, in a registration act, what is required? The details of the buyer, details of the seller, and details of the property. These three things. That means it should be one page. All registration deed in the country are 10 pages. Why? You ask those guys, but deed writer has to pay. Are we creating registration deed for deed writer, or are we creating registration deed for the purpose of the citizen? We are more bothered about deed writer because they are the intermediaries. I think government at some point in time get worried about deed writers and intermediaries they created through system and then try and have these problems. And there are innumerable examples. PAN card, you want a PAN card is hell today. I don't know, you can, in fact, you can use a UID and create a PAN card. What is so great about it? I can print a card anywhere and go. But today you apply, document, it'll take 2 months and it's hell out of it. PAN card is, even PAN card for the pension purpose, they're making such complex phenomena, but they create intermediaries. NSDL, UTI, TCL, these intermediaries are surviving largely because they're built in the network. You don't need these guys at all. You have to simplify life, that at least a PAN card in this country, I need an identification. And that's why he's saying UID is a game changer. It will make life so simple for each one of us. It is not being projected in that manner. Today, there are a lot of criticism for UID for people largely who are getting affected, these intermediary organizations. Maybe these large organizations who are getting affected, smart card lobbies will get affected because they're the one who want to sell the project. And the whole UID problem was created by these lobbyists. And there are lobbyists who work for this purpose. But UID going to be a great game changer because it will make life simpler for me. And last thing which I want to put it across. As I say, disruptive, not become destructive in the sense that if we can in this country, which I am sure Mr. Modi, if somebody can give an idea, I don't give it to him, I'm sure he's intellectually bright, can also help us in doing that the onus of proof for every service should lie with the government. Where Rajesh has been talking about. If the data is with the government, why should I prove? If my birth certificate is with you, you prove it. Why should I prove? If my caste certificate with you, you prove yourself. Why should I prove? If the onus of proof shift from a citizen to the user, 90% of the problem will get resolved in this country. But somebody has to start doing this. I think we need to think differently. We need to start working differently. And we need to innovate in a manner which make life simpler for me. And of course, the last thing, that we should also not repeat things which have happened, like the examples of Madhya Pradesh creating a database of its own. Why should they want to create a database when UID already exists? See, unique ID number is already existing. Our enthusiasm in our service to create something related to me and create a unique has to go. I think we belong to a service where a lot of people have this initiative saying, I have to do this, I did this. I know about some people got an award, Prime Minister's award for something which similar to CSC has been set up. Exactly same. Common service centers were set up in Gwalior. The DM of the Gwalior got an award from the Prime Minister for the same work. So you don't have to do all that work which is already being done. Look at the best practices and look at what has already been done and what likely to be done. This too much of me and too much of I and too much of egos and too much of name. In fact, I have been also very critical. The IAS officers should not be given any award. Why should they get an award? They joined the service to do a service. We are not a police officer where I have to put labels on my label and go around. We have joined this service largely because we want to serve the country. And that is and serve without name and without face. That is the first lesson which was taught to us. But today a lot of people, Prime Minister award, see, we should forget about the award. And I know about companies, say I keep on giving an example, I know about a company which got an award. In 2 years, the company disappeared completely. An award from an international organization. So this award business is also very dicey. It doesn't excite people to do good jobs. I think we should sustain ourselves. We should do something concrete, meaningful, simplifying life for people. And that's what, to me, is e-governance. Rajesh is one example who thinks differently and who also acts differently in his own quiet way and trying and making a difference. I hope there are many people like him, faceless, but giving service to the nation and making life simpler for citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now we have Giriraj, sir. He's Principal Secretary of Water Conservation, and I will request him to speak about NREGA, which is an evolution of actually EGS, which started in Maharashtra way back in 1970s. Sir.
Thanks, Rajesh. My colleague Muthu Krishnan will be speaking to you tomorrow the way we are introduced electronic fund management system and other initiatives in NREGA quite at length. I am a layman in these matters, but I wanted to share the last 4 years. Frankly, the amount of difficulties we have had in implementing the MIS. Simply put, when I joined, I didn't understand what even an MIS wants. Everybody was using the word management information. I mean, MIS I knew, but that they had a peculiar software in which we have to feed data, because this was a totally new program which Government of India had started when they are implementing NREGA, and they have developed a NREGA soft, in which the entries have to be made from every Gram Panchayat ideally, but since it is not practically possible, from every tehsil or block of the state across the country. It's an excellent software. It has got many awards, and if you go to narega.nic.in, you will know how many job card holders are there, what is the expenditure in a village. High level of transparency is there. But what we found in 2010, a major program, I'm trying to share the difficulties with you. The software has been developed, and we were just said, you go ahead. But nobody told how to go ahead. And some districts were allowed to do what they want, and certain district collectors had engaged what is known as the data entry agencies to make entries. Each was working in their own way, and what we found at some stage that they were very keen to make a particular type of entries because they were paid according to that type of entries, but neglecting other type of entries because they were not paid for that. This also didn't come immediately, and they were saying, sir, it is not certain data. If you go, all sorts of excuse or all sorts of feedback we will get. Some of them, to figure out what is the problem itself, was a challenge to me. They will say that it is not getting uploaded. But then we found that there is no proper connectivity till the computer. Some of the terminologies at the tehsil level, the cutting edge staff will be using, it is very difficult to understand. They use the word online in 20 different ways. The word, what is exactly online, Kele Sahib? Online zale nahi hai. I mean, what they mean is something else. But now this word online itself they use in a very different context. The other side is, right from Delhi, they say they use they say they bring certain experts to train our people. But they use certain terminologies which a typical cutting edge staff, our Tehsildar or BDO, don't understand. And they take certain simple words for granted. Server. It may look very laughable for you, but at that level it is just, they just don't understand. So my request to you is, I mean, in these type of program where you go up to the bottom of the village, this language, the terminology we use may make sense to us. Like a child's language may make sense to the parents, but not to others. So simple language has to be used so that you communicate. The second one is, I was feeling very lonely in the first or 2-3 years of the work. We didn't know what to do. We thought we'll get a state coordinator to handle this, but we didn't know how to define his tasks. Because we thought, everybody said a software fellow is required, but actually there is already a software. Only we wanted somebody to see that the entries are made on time. So which needs a different set of skill sets, and nobody helped me to help to draft the skill set. At last I got hold of a dear friend from IIT. He is sort of one foot in the social work field, who has done the computerization of Gujarat High Court. And he said, don't worry, I'll sit in some tehsil offices, and he diagnosed the problem. This is what you want. You don't need, you need some, with a danda who sees that entries are made. This is what you need, and he defined the task. In simple language, in these type of massive work, technology is not the issue. Lot of communication is required. And communication not from high level point of view, but from data entry, small operators, data entry operators, and such level point of view. One of the very difficult decision I took, it may look very strange for you, all the collectors were asked to engage agencies for data entry operate work. So many of the small time fellows from the district had taken up this work. Slowly they got entrenched. They got about 10-15 people. Now how to get rid of this? Then we found it is working and not working. I had a dilemma whether to keep these people. The suggestion was keep full-time staff. Don't keep these agencies. They don't deliver. We were worried that if I take it out, suppose it doesn't click, the whole blame comes on me at my level. And there was nobody to say that out of these two decisions, which is good or which is bad. Fortunately, in one rainy season, which we call a lean season of our work, I took the decision to get rid of these data entry agencies and started employing people on full time on a contract basis. Touch wood, it clicked. The point I'm trying to say is not the rightness or the wrongness of the decision, but at this type of thing, adequate support and guidance is not forthcoming at various levels, including from a software developer at the very high level. This is what I wanted to share. And in these type of massive work, my request would be when it goes down, when we introduce changes, the human factor and the communication factor must be taken into account. I thought I would share this. The positive side I could have told, but that is reserved for tomorrow. My colleague will be sharing with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. अजूनही फील्डमध्ये काही लोकांना वाटतो की माऊस म्हटला की उंदीर पकडून आणतात. But I will tell you an actual story. Actual story, only 3 months old. There is a very reputed, I won't name it, all of you can actually guess it. Very reputed art college in Mumbai, under the Higher Technical Education Department. तिथे एका टीचरला कम्प्युटरसाठी CD हवी होती, ब्लँक CD. त्यांनी नोट पाठवला परचेस डिपार्टमेंटला, and it's true story, it's not a story, it's true anecdote. 3 months old. नोट पाठवला कि 10 CD हवी आहे. 3 दिन बाद क्या देखा, 4-5 आदमी आ रहे हैं बड़ी बड़ी सीढ़ी लेके, लैडर लेके, और लैडर भी इतनी कि वो सीधी नहीं आती, वो टेढ़ी आती है रूफ में डायगनली कमरे में. तो ना टीचर इज एब्सोल्युटली फ्लैबरगास्टेड, उसके लिए बैठने की जगह नहीं बची. 10 सीढ़ियां हैं लंबी लंबी उसके रूम में. नोट होता 10 सीढ़ी हवी है, सीढ़ी आ रही है तो क्या करायचं. So next we have income tax. A lot of you would have a lot of horror stories with income tax department also, but their systems are now evolving. I was last month in Delhi. My brother-in-law is a chartered accountant. तो मैंने कहा 31 जुलाई आ रही है तो वो मैं अपने कागज़ ले आया हूँ, फॉर्म 16 लेके आया हूँ, तो अब मेरा इनकम टैक्स सामने भर दो. So it took 5 minutes. उन्होंने लॉगिन किया, 26 AS निकाला, बढ़िया मैच हो रहा है. इंटरेस्ट इनकम कितनी, मैंने 2 बैंक अकाउंट बताए, स्टेटमेंट लिया कि 10,000 से नीचे इंटरेस्ट है. देन दे सेड कि न्यू स्टेप आ गया है कि इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट विल सेंड OTP on your email and mobile. That took 1 or 2 minutes. So in 5 minutes, practically my income tax was filed. But obviously I did not file it myself. I had to take assistance of my brother-in-law, who is chartered accountant. So let's hear what more simplification income tax has in store. Satpal ji.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the organizers for giving us this opportunity. Two observations you just heard about income tax, first from Dr. Dinesh sir, which was a bit bad, and now a positive one from sir. And I would like to discuss with Dr. Dinesh sir, maybe offline session, that how maybe he was having that type of experience, or somebody narrated him that type of, somebody might have experienced that type of thing. Because, but I can say, sir, more than 90%, I would not say 100%, but I can say you with conviction that more than 90% of the scenarios, you will get your PAN card within 7 days. But yes, there can be exceptions, there are reasons for that. The reasons can be on the both sides, on our side also, or on the person who is submitting those documents. And the other point which you touched, sir, and the sir also somehow touched, that is the intermediary. Maybe sir took a help of his brother-in-law. So here is the intermediary comes into picture. Now, in our India, we have 3 generations, what we believe. Whenever we discuss, we say we have 3 type of generations. One, which are like ready to use this. I will only use online. That's the younger generation part of it. Now, if you come to persons who are middle-aged, they say, I'm okay with this, but somebody should help me. It's like a hand-holding. And the third one say, no, I will not touch. That's the senior citizens or like that. They will say, no, I can't trust this. I want the hard thing. Now you have to cater these 3 generations. Your system should be capable of that. So let me tell you, whereas the income tax department feels there is a portal, that's a one single window system to serve you there. But at the same time, we have kept open the channel of receiving the letters also. We have a document management system. We scan each and every letter at our central processing centers. But internally, we have an e-office where we manage the whole work. Now, if I start with the journey, let me tell you one thing, that in 90s, IT word was for income tax. But now 2000 IT is for information technology. This is the technology has changed. It's a paradigm shift. You may call it as a game changer. It has really changed the department also. See, we started with the building blocks. The first building block was the PAN. Then the next, that was a unique identifier, because that's the must thing to start a system. Then we started building on that is the online tax accounting system, whatever money we are getting. Top of it, we started with the TDS digitization. Whatever tax we are deducting at source, we should get that information. The next source of information we have is an annual information return, where you have a high value transactions. So this is how, first of all, we focused on, okay, how we should take all different data sources, and we should not do digitization on our own. We should take from the source in a digitized form. Otherwise, once it comes to us in a hard form, we have to digitize it. There can be mistakes. Now, therefore, we are dependent on the person who is providing that information. We have to build in certain validations there so that we don't get a junk data. Let me share another instance which I just experienced only a week before. One Bank of India manager coming to my office. What he says, he is writing in the tax deducted part somehow that date 30th March 2013, so 30032013. Think of so many figures becoming an amount in TDS deducted, and TDS deposited is, let's say, 100 rupees or 500 rupees or whatever. Whatever is difference, I would say, bhaiya, this is a short payment. In crores, there is a short payment. He comes to me, sir, what is this? Bhaiya, this is the data you are giving me. And being a bank manager, I asked him whether you check what data you are sending. He says, no, sorry, we have outsourced it. And therefore, whatever they send, we don't know. That's the hard story. And then we ultimately blame the others. My only request is, if all of us, whosoever in whichever capacity he may be, if we play our part properly, then definitely technology is always an enabler. Only thing is how we use it. It depends on us. And let me tell you, department has benefited through technology. Why? As sir also said earlier, online tax accounting system, next day, T+1 day, your money coming to RBI, no loss of interest. That's one part. So government gaining out of it. How you are gaining out of it? No enclosure required with the return for verification. Sir said 26 years. We are generating that 26 years. At the back end, we are there. So therefore 26AS has empowered you. It's like a account statement, tax credit account statement for you. And I would request all of you, don't depend on your CA only, you should also check it quarterly. And particularly for our officers, state government officers, I would even request, and sir being here, I would say one problem which we are facing from government is let's say, I will take 2 minutes, sir. In a normal channel, a deductor or a taxpayer pays through a government bank account, right? But for a government, if it is a state or a central government, we don't pay through a bank. The TDS is through a book adjustment. I think you may be knowing, all of you. That's called a book adjustment. So basically we don't draw the money per se. It's the net money only which we withdraw. Now what happens is, from the DDO, it goes to Treasury. From Treasury, it goes to State AG. And from State AG, it comes to our ZAO, that check part. Whereas the credit is by a taxpayer, right? We have created another layer of Form 24G, which we call in our terms as a G-OLTAS, that is a government OLTAS. What we are finding is, again, the astronomical figures being quoted by our accounts officers, which are not telling with what finally they are paying to us through a draft. And there is a mismatch coming. So my request to all of you is, one, a compliance to the extent that they are properly filing whatever is the frequency of filing, and secondly, whatever they are quoting, those figures are reliable or not, those are correct or not. Thank you very much. Sir, what I thought as a beauty, and you are saying the other way around, and if it is not coming, sir, then she is also responsible, being a partner to us.
Financial year 12-13 return, because I thought it's too early to talk to him or to my colleagues who handle IT refund under state bank level. But within 2 months, I got full amount.
But sir, I don't know, but my own experience is that I have got. So maybe one thing, sir, technology is a big equalizer. You can't say I'm President of India, therefore I should get a refund, I am so and so. No, I'm just saying. So that means it treats everybody equally. That's the beauty of the technology. No, sir, I will see to it, sir, first.
Okay.
I'll tell you, 8, 9, 10, I got only 2 days back because 26AS and 16 was not matching. Those days our tax deductors were not so tech savvy to put it in the proper slot so that they are accounted for in our name. That time was different, which my Satpal's technology improved. That is where the problem came for all of us. So when that is how the problem comes. If we get where are the gaps, go back to the old establishments, get it corrected, the record, get it uploaded, could be through a chartered accountant. Once the record is clarified, you will get it. That mismatch will be definitely there. It
Yeah,
happens.
thank you, Gitanjali ji.
I explained for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So the teething problems of the software, they are over now in income tax, thankfully. And also the point which Giriraj sir made, that down the line, people do not really know how to fill up the forms, etc. The same thing, Bakshi sir, has happened with Mantralaya. That last 2 years, and we have Sunil Vyas also of Director Accounts and Treasury sitting here. For 11, 12, 12, 13, all our DDOs really messed up everybody's Form 16 versus 26AS. They did not match. But luckily in March 2014, it has matched for 90% of us. So that was the real crux. And now passport is another thing which almost every one of us sitting in this room, we would have suffered at some point in time. Whether it is new passport, lambi linon mein lago, ghumte raho, and it, even at our levels, many times we have to use our links or catch hold of it out. That's the ground reality. Then, आपकी पासबुक बुक खत्म हो गई, नई बुक चाहिए, अगेन द सेम 40 days प्रोसीजर, एब्सोल्युटली नॉनसेंसिकल. तत्काल चाहिए, 4000 रुपये भी भरो, फिर एक जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी लेवल को पकड़ो यार, उसमें अलग स्कैंडल, जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी बेचारा साइन कर देते बाहर, पिए बैठा पैसे ले रहा है उस बात के. Now, luckily, very luckily, in last fortnight, we have heard some beautiful stories coming out of the new government in Delhi that these nonsensical things will be done away with. तत्काल के लिए फॉर्म जी नहीं भरना पड़ेगा, अगर आपका रिन्यूअल है तो फिर से पुलिस वेरिफिकेशन नहीं करनी पड़ेगी. So BPR is much more important than sometimes technology. Now technology has also come in, so let's hear what Atul has to say about it.
Very good evening to everyone. Distinguished guests on the dais, distinguished delegates. First things first, I would like to thank the organizers for putting up such a wonderful program and getting together people from all walks of life, service providers, government agencies, and other people. So it's a very wonderful gesture, sir. And thank all the sponsors and Government of Maharashtra for bringing in such an innovative and nice conference. I am representing here our Joint Secretary, Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi, who is the Chief Passport Officer and the head of the Passport Seva project. So I wanted to begin with the income tax issue. That basically what happens most of the time, many citizens, there are various channels of grievance addressal. They don't follow it. Like suppose someone said that 2 or 3 years he has not got his refunds. There are channels of grievance redressal we should utilize because the system is not perfect. It is evolving. And we should utilize all those channel grievance addressal mechanisms to address our concerns. There are various channels. Regarding passports, Agarwal sir said something which I don't agree. Because number of changes have happened. As I said, it is an evolving process since the Passport Seva project started 2 years ago. I would like to emphasize that 1.5 crore passports have been issued till date within 2 years. So it's a big number. Every day we are having a footfall of 30,000 people. And the system is online, you have to take an appointment. So when people say that the involvement of tout, again the standing in queues because of the queue management system, the online appointment, it has drastically reduced. We are a system where Sir Tyagi sir said that, and many other people said that the word key is digital illiteracy. Even the person is a software engineer, many times I see that he is making mistakes, like sir said, that he is making mistakes in filling up the form. So that we have to address, that digital illiteracy is the key element in all the that is a major challenge in e-governance process. Because we have an engine which is very powerful, but the bogies and the track is not that powerful. So and here it comes the question of citizen service centers. And it's a big market also, what I feel, to the companies and also the citizen service center, because even if a layman is there, auto driver is there, or an engineer is there, because for any e-enabled service, you need at least half an hour to fill up the form, 1 hour to fill up the form. For a new person, it is difficult to understand the system and all. So there is a normal tendency here, kaun jhanjat mein padega, give it to someone to have it filled it up. So that kind of where I feel the citizen service center to the layman who is not that educated to fill up the IT form, because he may be educated, a graduate, but IT savvy he is not there. And very few people have the internet connection, very few people are that educated to have. So I feel that here lies the Apna center or the citizen service center or the village level entrepreneur. He is going to be very key, because now we are going to start for online form filling. We are going to tie up with India Post. So he will have to pay just 100 rupees service fee. At all India Speed Post Center, he can fill up the Speed Post will fill up the online form for the applicant with a nominal fee of 100 rupees. So what happens once the big market player like the India Post comes into picture, there will be different other mechanisms also where the market rates will come down because the supply has increased. So it's some game of supply, demand and supply gap. So we are pushing through India Post, then citizen service centers. So automatically there will be more kiosks who will be able to do more agents or more touts or agents where the rates will automatically will come down. So it's an important, it's an all India level big project, because We are, as I mentioned, 1.5 crore passports in 2 years. Every day we have a footfall of 30,000 people in about 77 passport seva kendras, which are spread over 37 passport offices all over India. So one thing I liked about the title of the conference, that is knowledge sharing. As in school we learned that knowledge is power. So this sharing of experience, I feel, is sharing of power. Because most people don't like to share power. So data is like a power. Na? So we are sharing data, sharing our experiences. So I think it's an important event to share our experience, because we are sharing power also through these databases. Because data integration is going to come. Suppose like in passport issue, we are trying to have, like with Chokalingam sir is there, a few days ago we had a discussion that we can integrate, we can try and attempt to integrate the data all over. Like he has the 10th and 12th certificates. If we can integrate with our system, we need that for a checking of date of birth. So automatically the data will come, and again there will be no need for certification. Rent agreement, again you will be happy to know that just day before yesterday, Government of India has made a rule that rent agreement will also, registered rent agreements will also be accepted. So he again has a database of rent agreements which is online. So again that integration will help. That's what the key power is there. Sharing of knowledge, sharing of power also is there. So it will definitely help. So various other schemes also we are planning, Ministry of External Affairs, like we are going to have e-passports. So there will be a chip where all the data will be available at the stroke of a button. So it will be easy, it will be International Civil Aviation Organization compatible. So India is taking leads in that. I think within a year or two we would be able to have e-passports. So that is also an important aspect. So data integration again with the police is important, because for passport, as we were mentioning, that for Indian citizen there is no unique identity. Unique identity is coming now, but passport is the identity, because if a person is having a passport, then his identity is established not only in India but all over the world. So whenever we are issuing any kind of a document, which is actually passport is a travel document, but in India we also take it as an identity document, and all part of the world we treat it as an identity document. So we have to be extra careful. So we are integrating data with police also, because the police reports are coming online, so the time lag has definitely reduced. And there are also plans now to reduce further. Suppose a policeman comes to your place for police inquiry. So he will have a palm top also. Maybe it may come in a year or two. So he will have a palm top. So the moment he feeds the data, it will go to the data center. And if the passport report is clear, police report is clear, the passport goes into the printing queue. There is no interference of any person. So various attempts are being made. So it is a big project. It may take time, because Government of India, it's slow, but it's whenever the volumes are very high. So what happens, the system, it makes a drastic change into the pattern of what we do. And the Passport Seva project with our service partner, I was surprised that our service partner TCS is not part of this. So it is there, and we are doing, it's a high visibility project. And you know, the audience or the people who seek passports, their patience level have gone down. As citizens, everyone, what happens? Everyone wants quick service now. The days of waiting for 7 days, 5 days is gone. Now what is happening, you will be surprised. And Pune is one of the IT hubs of India. Sometime the data center all over in India of the service provider went down. So there was choking in the system. So I was sitting in the Passport Seva Divas in New Delhi, and people tweeted that the service center is not working. All over India, the service centers were not working, but people from Pune are so active that they had tweeted, and our special secretary is on Twitter. So he pointed out, okay, he immediately addresses on Twitter anything that comes. So they called me, what is happening? Then I told, okay, it's happened all over India. The center has been taken care of, but the people of Pune are so active, because the patience level of people have gone down because of technology evolution and all. Earlier, if something was done within 1 hour, now people will not wait even for 5 minutes. But still the time lag is being reduced with the help of technology, with the help of e-governance, and with citizen-centric approach, what I feel. because citizen-centric approach is very important. Even if we, as I mentioned, we may have the latest technology, but if it does not, appropriate technology is important. Many times there is a, what do you say, in fad of having online, as many people mention, but sometimes online is not required. Our manual system will be faster, much faster. Depending on the volume, we have to use appropriate technology. And the concept of, it's an evolving system, and I think as time here, then we issue the passport without police verification. But sometimes the police clearance is not there. So then we have to again do the police verification. And as per passport rules and all, police verification is important. It's an identity documents, and security of you all and me also is involved. So we can't take chance. So thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Atul. On your comment on knowledge exchange, I remember a quote that one should eat like a bird. जगह जगह से दाना चुगना चाहिए knowledge का, and one should poop like an elephant. कि फिर जब बैठो तो elephant जैसा बढ़िया सा काम करना चाहिए. Impact should be great. Eat like a bird, poop like an elephant. Now Gitanjali ji, State Bank of India is now very active, very computerized. But as Secretary Accounts and Treasury, my experience was that the banking system has catered to corporate sector very well. The government sector computerization with the banks is now, that phase is coming up. So let's hear what she has to say.
Thank you, Mr. Agrawal ji, and all the esteemed audience. I have two good friends here, Satpal Gulati ji, with whom I am a partner for income tax receipts as well as the sole banker for all the income tax refunds. Maybe he'll come to my rescue to prove you wrong, as well as Atul ji, for whom again I'm the countrywide single partner for online receipt of passport fees. Again, maybe Mr. Atul will come to my rescue, that wherever government wants, State Bank of India is one of the banks that always stands behind the government, and it's never cost conscious because it's actually part of government. The way the country lives in 5 generations or 10 generations, maybe in 3-4 centuries, people using a bullock cart to people using private jets. Same way State Bank of India customers are there. Everybody is not digitally conversant with doing things. So it takes a lot of effort to give solutions across the board. But then government is our number one and the biggest customer. Our computerization or our look at technology started much before it started in the government. By the time government was conscious of technology, we had the advantage, we were already on the core banking platform and it had stabilized. So whenever the new things came, like last year, the pressure for DBT payment for petroleum gas subsidies, it took us about 2 months to put the things in place in coordination with Aadhaar and petroleum marketing agencies, Ministry of Petroleum, NPCI and all. Like, we are geared to have extra manpower to deliver whatever is deliverable. Again, the problem remains same. With your technology partner, you may have issues. With your staff, you may have issues. Because more than technology, it is people issues which also matter. But then we are very proud to be associated with government in many of the projects. I have seen not only passport project, now we are handling a project where people across the world, about 180 countries, they will be able to pay online visa fee and then need not visit Indian embassies or visit any VFS or anybody. Straight away, Government of India will give the tourist visas. So we are partnered there to receive dollar remittances across the world. And we have, over the time, handled government transactions in a much better way. There are issues. We have very recently acquired something called the aggregator services. If you make an online payment, you will be seeing that finally when it comes to net banking, a choice of list of banks come, and niche it will be written that by Citrus or by BillDesk. So we will be substituting ourselves in that slot. It's a very expensive proposition, but still we want to do it only for government so that government money does not move to any of the private aggregators whose servers could be located outside the country. So that is one initiative we are trying. Maybe in the next 3 to 4 months we'll be ready with our own aggregator services so that we will be able, and once RuPay comes, we will be able to give the citizens the best value for wherever it comes to citizens pay to government or government pays to citizens, we will be there. And coming to the current initiative of financial inclusion, on 15th August, the total financial inclusion plan will be launched by the Prime Minister. It's a very tall order, and we have prepared our machinery to handle that kind of pressure that we open accounts. I think the idea that came that if we link Aadhaar only, we take the thumb and we move ahead, it's a good idea. Some of the ideas that I got through are good ideas to go back and implement. And we are otherwise partnering with most of the central government departments, most of the state government departments. And we are there when there's a crisis in the government, like there's Filin in Orissa, and State Bank of India branches were open around the clock for 3-4 days, so that whenever collectors, district officials want money, it's made available. We were in Kargil when the war was in full thing, and not a single day the bank had closed down because it was in the war zone. So that commitment we have for the country, we'll continue to serve the government with that commitment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Gitanjali ji. The whole e-governance now depends a lot on web-enabled systems with customer interface actually happening on mobile systems. So you need good bandwidth providers, good 2G and 3G providers. So we are happy to now listen to our partners, Vodafone. Satish ji and Avinash ji.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, just 1 second. Yeah.
We just recently had one bid, sir, for our network provider. We got only 2 bids. I will not name, but they are not there. I don't know why they are not keen. So maybe if we can answer.
That offline as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. I think I have already given some of the use cases here, so I don't want to repeat those. But let me pick some of the thoughts which came from the fellow speakers themselves. I think Dr. Dinesh Tyagi talked about can the transactions be actually system-oriented, not the person-oriented? Only then you can make it more efficient. Absolutely right. Similarly, Mr. Agarwal said, can we eliminate the process itself that makes the system so much efficient, and can we remove the repetitions in the system? So let me take one example which we have implemented in one of the customers with us, and I'm sure you will be able to find similar requirements in your own domain and space, and you will be able to relate it to it. Visualize a large security agency having 10,000 security officers scattered across the country, multiple states, multiple cities, right? Other than the security supervisors, majority of these security officers does not have any bank account. Their disbursement of the wages every month is done in cash. The cash moves from their security officers, security agencies, let's say the office, to the local office, and then from local office, the security manager goes every month, registers himself in terms of attendance, verification happens, money is paid to him in cash, and then look at this security manager now what he does with the cash. Majority of these people come from some eastern part of the country, let's say Bihar, UP, etc. We all know. So then some part of that money is transferred through the MoneyGram or the traditional means to his family. So this entire process, if you look at it, it's 7 days process. Cash exchange hands at multiple times and multiple places. Obviously the threat of losing the cash on the way, all those things on the way coming in. Now let's just replace it with the mobile money, and it's actually working now. Think of it, the security manager on the site itself, he registers himself as say my attendance is here, I am on the site. So the attendance is done through the mobile. He did not to go to the office to sign the attendance. So records are completely online, number one. Now the money is directly transferred from head office to the respective mobile money accounts, directly to the security officer within 10 minutes of the attendance done. Let's say, right? Now no cash transactions, and think of it this now, this guy wants to send some of this money back to his home, and he does again from mobile to his home in his wife or his father's mobile account, and it is done again within 10 minutes. So the 7 days process, multiple handoffs, cash transactions, all gone away. Good for the organization, good for the guy who is using it, which is the security manager in this case, and great for his family as well, whereby they need not to even chase where the money is come. It's directly there on the mobile account. So I'm sure this is where the IT technology come in play, the mobility come in play, and hence it becomes a great case for financial inclusion as well as uses in any of our organization. I'm sure we all can find so many such examples which we can implement in this country and really make IT and technology work for the citizens and for the country. Thank you.
Just to add to what Satish has said, I've been hearing all the views since morning, and thank you, Rajesh Agarwalji. I think it's great to hear the strides the government and government agencies are making, and it's really a very happy realization that there is so much good work happening in the government. And just to extend your thought here, I've been hearing about people saying, I had this solution and I had another solution, and so on and so forth. Now, typically what people do is, from the context of telecom providers, people look at telecom providers as people who would provide a specific thing which is corresponding to a specific problem. So, for example, as Satpalji said, we had a tender, but you didn't participate. Similarly, somebody else would say we would have a requirement for 50,000 SIMs, but your bid was not up to the mark, or so on. Now, Vodafone is not just providing mobility services today. And Vodafone is providing much more than that. We are providing mobility, wireline, we are providing, starting to provide cloud services. All in all, we are starting to provide solutions to business problems, right? And it's particularly good, we are one of the first movers in this space, and what we'd like you to do is to help us understand your business problems. And let me again elaborate a little bit here. In overseas markets, we've done this very successfully. So in places like New Zealand, we've worked with the police to see how they can serve the citizens better. In India, wherever we've had the opportunity, we've created solutions to specific business problems. Like, for a couple of jails, we created a solution whereby the prisoners could call a specific number of phone numbers with prepaid credit. We have also worked with a couple of governments that were very concerned with US snooping their calls, and we are building secure voice calling solutions for them. There are solutions that we are building with a number of other governments on data security on mobile phones. With a number of corporates, we are building propositions, even in India, for managed tablets and managed mobile phones. And the ICICI Bank tap banking is another example. For solutions requiring SMS and USSD, we've opened the *99 hash code, and we've opened a few other codes that have helped, service to for G2C requirements. So all in all, ultimately, what would a telco do? They would create solutions based on the requirements that would come to them from their customers. So it's important to have that connect, I think, between the government agencies and the telcos, not from a requirement specifications perspective, take this requirement and deliver something to me, but more in terms of, Mr. Vodafone, please come to me and understand from me, this is my business problem, and can you solve it and how you can solve it. So let's have a partnership approach, and I'd also encourage you to visit our stand just outside. we have created, especially for this meet, a number of use cases, a number of leaflets of solutions that we've provided, and I'll just name them one by one. We've created ambulance tracking solutions for 118 ambulance. We've created biometric authentications for rural schools. We are partnering with Rudy Sandesh Vyavhar for Seva. M-Pesa is something that Satish, my colleague, has talked about. We are helping water treatment solutions for municipal corporations, mother-child tracking systems for ASHA workers, pothole tracking solutions that Satish talked about. There are solutions that we have for rural schools where we use mobile data cards to download lessons into specific set-top boxes that Vodafone provides, and then they can run e-learning modules. We are helping a number of dairies in milk-producing states automate their milk production systems. We are doing smart metering, tourist automation, and so on and so forth. There's a number of use cases which we haven't come up with all of a sudden. We've worked along these lines with our customers, with government agencies in India and overseas to find the best solution for your needs. So all I will say is let's keep this dialogue, and I'm sure we'll come up with the best solutions for your needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Voda team. We'll stop here and we'll dispense with the questions because it's a residential program and all of you can catch the speakers in sober spirits or in high spirits. Thank you.
So I request for the moment Shri V. Giriraj, Principal Secretary, Water Conservation and EGS, Government of Maharashtra. Dr. Dinesh Tyagi, Chief Executive Officer, CSC E-Governance Services India Limited. Shri Satpal Gulati ji, Additional Director, Systems Department of Income Tax, Government of India. Shri Atul Survey, Regional Passport Officer, Pune. Ma'am Geetanjali Mishra, GM Government Business, State Bank of India. Shri Satish Mittal, Senior VP, Vodafone Business Services Technology, Vodafone. And Mr. Avinash Mathur from Vodafone, which is our telecom partner. I'll request Ma'am Geetanjali to please present a memento to Shri Agarwal. Thank you. Thank you. I request for a group photo with mementos. Please. Now we, in next half an hour, we'll be starting with the cultural program. There are cultural dance performances of Maharashtra, various dance performances are there. And then along with the dinner. And the drinks.